has details.
In memory of those who perished in the disaster, flags were lowered to half-staff at Taiwan's presidential office this morning. This as the island began a 3-day mourning period for victims of Typhoon Morakot. And a Buddhist memorial service was held in the village of Shaolin 2 weeks after more than 400 residents were buried alive by mudslides. Among those paying homage to the victims at the temporary shrine were Taiwanese President Ma Ying-jeou and Premier Liu Qiaoxuan. The leader again bowed to apologize to those who lost their lives and their loved ones. I'm sorry that the government failed to protect you from the suffering, Ma said. As he left the storm-devastated area, the president was approached by villagers who urged him to find the officials accountable for delayed rescue efforts. Hundreds of people have died and Premier Liu Qiaoxuan is responsible for the deaths, shouted one resident. The man then asked Ma to fire the premier or else he would be harboring Liu's wrongdoings. The popularity ratings of the president and his cabinet have reached an all-time low amid widespread criticism over their slow and chaotic response to the storm. Moonland TVB News.
North Korean officials visiting the south to pay their respects to former President Kim Dae-jung have extended their stay, possibly to meet with President Lee Myung-bak. Reports say the delegation has brought a message from leader Kim Jong-il. South Korea's YTN television reported that Lee would not meet them today, but did not mention the possibility of a meeting tomorrow. James Agilia reports.
Top South and North Korean officials in charge of inter-Korean relations held talks today for the first time in nearly 2 years. Unification Minister Yoon In-taek met visiting North Korean spy chief Kim Yang-gon, who also handles inter-Korean matters. The meeting lasted about 80 minutes, but no further details were made public. The North Korean officials expressed a desire to meet President Lee Myung-bak, whom North Korean media regularly deride as a traitor, and were carrying a letter from leader Kim Jong-il. The North Koreans came to Seoul on Friday to mourn late South Korean President Kim Dae-jung. The former South Korean leader is beloved on both sides of the border for his pursuit of closer ties between the divided states. He died on Tuesday at the age of 85. The delegation was the first Pyongyang ever sent to mourn a South Korean leader. A special mass is to be held tonight at Seoul's landmark Myeongdong Cathedral for Kim, who was a Roman Catholic, ahead of his state funeral tomorrow. Meanwhile, some 100 demonstrators chanted "Topple the Kim Jong-il dictatorship" near the hotel where the North Korean officials were staying and ripped apart a paper North Korean flag. There was a minor scuffle between activists and police. James Lagilia, TVB News.
Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi has held out the prospect of stronger ties with Britain following the release of the convicted Lockerbie bomber by Scotland. Gaddafi met with Abdel Basset Ali al-Megrahi and his family following his return to Libya. Al-Megrahi was released on compassionate grounds after being given just 3 months to live due to his advanced prostate cancer. The Libyan leader thanked Britain's Prime Minister Gordon Brown and Queen Elizabeth for encouraging Scottish authorities to release al-Megrahi. The British government has denied it put pressure on Scotland's government over the case in the interest of better ties with oil-rich Libya. Relatives of many U.S. citizens who died in the Lockerbie bombing have voiced disgust at al-Megrahi's release and his return to a hero's welcome in Tripoli.
A landslide at a Portuguese seaside resort yesterday killed 5 people and injured at least 4 others. Part of a sandstone cliff collapsed and buried bathers on the Algarve coast. A 60-year-old man and 4 women died. It was not immediately clear if other people remained buried under the debris. The nationalities of those involved in the accident were not disclosed. The section of beach under the cliff that collapsed had been cordoned off at the time of the incident, with warning signs pointing out the dangers of a possible landslide. And still ahead in the news, Jockey Club
higher than conventional gasoline vehicles. But in general, we believe our competitiveness in R&D and manufacturing will bring us advantages in the price and the cost in the market.